Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. What's up, guys? That was my little Mexican intro. Oh, man. You see, like, if you do another race nowadays, they're coming for you, man. So even if I talk like this, they're going to be like showing this people. They're going to be showing this clip later on and be like, cultural appropriation. I guess I can't drink coffee either because the Colombians did it first. Coffee, man. Always. I got a little coffee here, and I do oat milk. How do you do your coffee? I do mine with oat milk. Oat milk is great. Better than regular milk, man. I'll tell you that right now. First of all, it's not coming from a cow. You know, and you got to think. I've seen a lot of documentaries about this milk, the cow milk, and the pus that's in there. It's just gross. You know, when I was a kid, when I lived in Iran, this is a real fact. My dad had some cows, and he would milk them. And there was like a machine, and he put the freaking boom, boom, boom. And it was like a machine that sucked the titties of the cows, and it would actually get the milk, and we would have fresh milk. And it tasted great. I remember I was like, this is so good because it was creamy. I remember it being creamy, right? But then when we get the milk now, it's so processed with the stuff, you know, that they've been doing or with the facility that they use and then the process, whatever the process is to get the milk to when we get it to the store, that it's just not the same. Is basically what I'm saying. And if you guys want me to continue talking about this topic that I have no idea what the fuck is going on with it, then I can. But I thought, you know, I'd give you guys that little tidbit. When I was a kid, I got fresh cow milk.
Did your dad ever put alcohol in his milk?
Alcohol in the milk?
Yeah, because my grandpa, they used to do the same thing. They used to pump up the milk. And then
Oh,
put
no, they used to get the cows drunk before they sucked their titties. That's different, bro. That's a little different. Wait, so you're...
Yeah, that's a big thing in Mexico.
What do? They put a little
So
alcohol?
right when the cows are like milked, because it's still warm and creamy.
Yeah.
They put tequila on there.
Oh, maybe it's to kill something, you know? Maybe to kill the bacteria or something like that.
I never thought about that.
But yeah, I wouldn't imagine they wouldn't put too much because it might ruin the milk, unless you want to have tequila con leche. All right, guys, I don't know, man. I've had a crazy week. I want to talk about last week. I did not have good luck with electronics, let's just say. Dude, I lost two iPhones, in the matter of 3 days. Count it again. 2 iPhones in the matter of 3 days to the water, to the ocean, to the salt water, baby. Dude, all right, let me tell you guys what happened. And, you know, I've talked about it on the podcast. I've been going fishing, like, to get away and just, like, get out and sometimes go out with my brother. Sometimes I go, you know, kayak fishing by myself. And so I went down to Long Beach this last Sunday, and I went to visit my brother. This is not this last Sunday. Okay, the 2 weeks before. Whatever, man. If you want to know the semantics. So I go down to my brother's in Long Beach, and I get there a little late, so we don't go fishing right away. He's like, hey, man, let's just jump in the water, you know, take a little swim. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. It's a hot day. I'm down to jump in the water a little bit. So I jump in the water, and I don't know if you've ever had this feeling where you jump in the water, and then like right before I hit the water, I go, my phone. I go, fuck my phone, because I have, you know, my swimming trunks had pockets, and I had my phone in that pocket. But like it was instant, dude. Like I hit the water, I go, my phone, and I just reach in. I mean, like I was John Q. What's the
John Wick?
John Q. Who the fuck is John Q? Some senator?
No, that's Denzel.
Okay, yeah, whatever. John Wick, Denzel. I'm not going to discriminate. Either one of those dudes. Reflexes of one of those guys, right? So I hit the water. I pull my bitch out of the. I was impressed at how fast I got it. I wasn't even sure if the phone got wet, but it did. You know, because that's how fast, I'm telling you, I reacted. I go, and I go, and I threw the phone out. Lands right there by the dock, you know, safe. I dry it off, and it's still working. I go, I'm good. These iPhones are supposed to be water protection anyways, right? The phones are supposed to have, they're supposed to be waterproof to some extent. I actually looked it up. It's supposed to be a couple meters of water for a half hour. Dog, this was 2 to 3 seconds max that the phone was in the water. If, you know, 1,000, 2, 1,000, it was already out. I haven't even hit 2 1,000. And it was already out of the pocket into the side of the thing, dude. I think I'm good. I'm looking at the phone, and I still see Doogie's face. So, I go, okay, safety, baby. It's still working. It's not fried. Still working. So we continue to swim, do whatever we do. And then, we get out of the water about 45 minutes later, something like that, and I go to use my phone. The shit is not on. It's not working anymore. And it keeps giving me the Apple logo, and it looks like it's about to turn on. But then right before it turns on, it goes, and it does this flash screen. I'm like, mother, it's fried. The phone is fried, dude. And then my brother's trying to do all sorts of stuff. He puts it in rice. He puts it in a big bowl of rice, right? And you heard that. Put your phone in rice. It's going to take the water out. And then as he puts it in the rice, I start Googling stuff like YouTube videos, like what to do when your phone's in water. First thing comes up is a video. These two guys, they look like they know what they're talking about. They're like, don't put your phone in rice. It's the first thing they said. Don't put your phone in rice. So if your phone falls into water, guys, do not put it in rice. I guess it's like that's some, old wives' tale or something. It doesn't really work. There's other methods that are better, like, those little, whatever those little packets are, like you find in beef jerky or like in packaging to keep the moisture out. That's what you might want to put on your phone. It's like silica. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like when you get a package and then there's like a little white pack of that in there. And that's to keep the moisture out. That's what you want to put on your phone. So I immediately take my phone out of the rice. And I'm like, dude, just let it dry out. Because I've had phones where like you let it dry and then eventually it'll turn back on. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. But I got no luck, dude. So this is an iPhone. Obviously, iPhones are not cheap, right? And I'm bummed for a second. But then I'm like, dude, who cares? I'll just get another one, And I have Apple Care, which is a thing I suggest everyone gets because I always use my Apple Care. Every time I get like a MacBook or, whatever Apple device, I'll get the Apple Care because I know, I'm accident prone and I'll use it and it saved me a bunch of times, right? So for like $100, you get a replacement phone, even with water damage. So I wasn't tripping. But then now I'm not going to have a phone for a few days, right? Because all the Apple stores are closed, which, by the way, I don't know if you've ever lost a phone, but it is very liberating. And if you are out of commission with the telephone, it's pretty cool because then I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't even, sometimes I'll look at my phone when I have nothing to do. I mean, we all do it. Like, you won't ever take a break. Like, if you're in a waiting room, you go like this. As soon as it's 5 seconds into, like, you waiting or there's nothing going on, you don't just sit there and think. You're right on your phone and whatever your go-to is, Instagram or, Twitter or whatever the hell you do to check in to see what's going on. And I do that too, and I hate it. I really don't like it. And I'm almost like, it's so funny. Why can't you just not have one? You cannot have one, but something in my head goes, well, people got to get a hold of me. People got to get a hold of me, and I got to be available. Do you? What's made us like that? Back in the day, if you didn't have a phone, if you tell somebody you're going to be somewhere, you had to be there. You had to fucking be there, right? If you told someone, hey, man, I'll meet you at 6 at the park, you better be there at 6 at the park with a picnic and a glass of wine. I'm kidding. But just be there, right? You had to be there. Because if you weren't, the person would be pissed at you and you'd be like, hey, man, what are you doing? I can't get a hold of you now. I can't get a hold of you. So you had to be. Dude, these cell phones have given us so many outs. Plans get canceled. Plan gets changed. Hey, running late. Dude, if you were running late 15 minutes and you told a motherfucker you were going to meet him at the park, and he was waiting 15 minutes. He's like, oh, he's been murdered. He's been killed. Like, they're all the thoughts that go through their head in that 15 minutes because people just weren't. They were punctual. They showed up because it was important. Now it's not like that, man. Now it's like, I'll just be there when I be there. All I got to do is shoot him a text. I just shoot him a text and tell him I'll be 20 minutes late. No one cares anymore. Cancel plans. Hey, dude, can we push back? Smiley emoji. Can't wait to see you. It's just silly. So whatever. Now that that 15 hours I didn't have the phone felt great, but so disconnected. I'm like, I don't know who's trying to get a hold of me. And then people think you're dead now if you don't reply to a text. So it's the opposite way. Before, if you were late 15 minutes, they thought you were dead. Now it's if you don't text them back in 15 minutes, they think you're dead. I was gonna call the police. You always text me back. So it's quite the shitty conundrum we're in now. You have to have a phone, but it feels good not to have one. Anyways. The following day, I'm supposed to do my buddy Jay Moore's podcast, okay? Jay Moore, I'm sure you guys know him. Super cool dude. been in a ton of things, SNL, a bunch of shit. He's got his podcast, More Stories. And I'm supposed to do this More Stories podcast. So I'm going to meet him, but I don't have a phone. This is in the period that I didn't have the phone. This is the only jam up that happened. So I get the address. I show up to the place. There's a call box. I don't see his number. I don't see Jay's number in the call box. So now what do? I don't have a cell phone. I'm just sitting there. And I pull back from the call box, and there's like, several units in the thing. And I'm going, Jay! Jay! Like, what do I do now? What do I have to go all the way home to text him from my computer? I don't know what to do. So that was one jam up without having a phone, right? I had to sit there for like 15 minutes. And then his producer came to the door. He was like, hey, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't have a phone. I dropped it in water. So that was a little bit of a jam up. Anyways, I do Jay's podcast, right? We had a great time, by the way. When it comes out, I'll post it. I don't know if they've edited it yet, but we had a great time on the podcast. We started talking about fishing. And apparently Jay likes to fish too. I love to fish. You guys know that. So we start shooting the shit about that. And Jay has a place in Malibu. He's like, dude, come down to my spot. We'll go out fishing. We're on, dude. Let's do it. I can't wait. So we made the plans for the following day to go fishing. And then a friend of mine goes, hey, I got a spare iPhone because I'm not going to have a phone for a few days now, right? So she's like, I got a spare iPhone. No worries. You can use it. Brand new iPhone 11. Never been used. You can use it. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll have a phone for a few days. The Apple Care thing will kick in and I'll get my new phone delivered, after the 3 days or however long it's going to take. Next day comes. Morning, I'm driving to Jay's house with the new phone, brand new iPhone 11. What could go wrong, dude? So we get to Jay's house. We're getting all the stuff, set up. We're getting our like little lures and stuff. I'm rigging the poles. Jay's gonna paddleboard, and I'm gonna kayak. Okay, I kayak fish. I know what I'm doing, right? And I've told him, I'm talking a good game. We're talking fishing, and I'm glad he knows what he's talking about because I know what I'm talking about. What kind of lures we're going to use, what we do. But normally I don't go out in the open ocean, right? When I do the fishing with my brother in a kayak, I am in a marina, right? Less waves. It's not as choppy. The conditions are a little more, under control. If the wind kicks up, it's not going to get that crazy because it's protected. The marina's protected by jetties and all this shit. And there's boats around, there's docks, right? So we paddle out. I'm looking. I'm like, okay. And at first I was like, I've never paddled out a kayak into the breaking water. The brand new 11, I got that thing around my neck because Jay had given me a case, a waterproof case. He's like, dude, you can't damage this. This is a waterproof case on a little lanyard, goes around your neck. And it clips, waterproof. I'm like, perfect. We can take pictures, shoot videos, do whatever we want to do. So anyway, we're ready to get out now, right? So we got the kayak going. And he's got his paddleboard. He's already out. Jay's out. He knows what he's doing. Fishing pole on the paddleboard. And now I come in, right? And I'm shooting. And it was cool. Like a wave did hit me and I go, whoa. And I got a little soaked. And I'm like, oh shit. But it wasn't anything like my life flashed before my eyes or anything. So we're out. Now we're paddling. Now that I'm out in the open water, I'm cool, dude. I'm paddling, and I'm jetting, dude. We're going to our spot, which is probably like, 15, 20-minute paddle out by the rocks where Jay says there's fish. And I'm like, cool, dude. I'm excited. We're telling stories. We're having a laugh, man. It was so great. It was a beautiful day on the water, right? We're joking. We're doing voices. We're doing characters. I'm in heaven. And I'm fishing. So we get to our spot, right? And then I start throwing a couple casts. And right away, I catch like a calico and then like a calico bass, right? It wasn't that big. It was like that. But at least I'm like, hey, dude, Jay's like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. He's caught fish. So I catch one fish. And then I freaking go again. Like 5-10 minutes later, boom, I hook up again. Boom, catch another one. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Right? And I've got confidence more than I should now out in the open water. Because, dude, you got to remember, you're Mother Nature. This bitch could switch at any minute, and let you know that she's boss. And I'm out there getting way too comfortable. We're laughing, we're joking, I'm loose with the freaking thing. I got my water legs hanging out into the water. And I have my backpack in the back of the kayak. So I go to turn to get my backpack with what's got the new baits in it. And as I turn, and I learned this after. You never want to have your kayak parallel to the shore when you're not paying attention, right? Because there's waves coming. You want to be like perpendicular. You want to be either facing the shore like that with your nose, or you want to be facing out to sea. But so the kayak could cut through the waves or any sort of swell that's coming. And I go to turn to grab that backpack, bro. And as I go to turn away, like a little swell comes up, and I'm like, oh, and I try to lean into it. And then I'm like, I could feel the kayak going in. So I panic and I overcorrect. And guess what happens next? I stay in the kayak. No, I don't stay in the kayak. Dude, the kayak goes over and I go, oh, and I go, and I fall into the kayak. Now, dude, I have my backpack, sunglasses, Jay's fishing pole. It's not even my fishing pole. Jay went and bought these like combo fishing poles so we can use them that day. My phone's around my neck, so I'm like, oh, that's cool. Everything goes in the water, dude. Yard sale. So I managed to get the pole back in there, my glasses back in there, the backpack back in there. So I'm okay. I'm in okay shape. And I'm like, huh. But your adrenaline starts pumping because now I'm in the water, I don't care who you are. When you hit that water and you're not like super used to being out in the ocean, immediately you start thinking fucking, you hear the Jaws music. That's all happening in my head. And Jay's over there on the paddleboard going, how did this guy just fall in the water? Because it must have looked crazy. I was just sitting there and I was doing so good. We were catching fish, having such a good time. And bro, I'm in the water. Now I get all the stuff in the boat, right? I'm like, all right, cool, calm down. But I'm still like, my body's just still panicking and like, having this little thing. I'm like, I got to get back in the boat. So I keep trying to jump up in the boat, but I just can't do it. My shoulder's a little bit fucked up too. So I'm like, I try to get in there, but I just couldn't get in it all the way. And then finally I pull myself up and I get in, but I as I'm going to settle in, I fall over again. Now I'm in the water again. I'm like, oh, and like now I'm super panicked, dude. Stuff goes flying again. This time I don't get to the pole. The pole's gone. I get my backpack back in there, my glasses back in there. It was a nightmare. And I don't know if this is so much of a story for you guys, and it's just like something you wouldn't care about. And I don't know if I've articulated the horror that I felt in this moment, And Jay's going, calm down. Like I could hear Jay, and I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, dude. Like, no shit. But he's trying to be cool, but then he saw me go over again. So he's like panicking. He's like, dude, does this kid not know how to swim? Does he not, because I look crazy. And I made a complete ass out of myself. And I've lost his pole. Now I'm thinking about that. The lures that he's got, dude, everything. I'm telling the story as if I'm in the water. That's how panicked. So anyways, I go to get up in it in this one time. And as I go up, my phone that's around my neck on a clip, I hear tink. The thing snaps, the case. And I could just go boop. And I go, oh. And I felt it like come off my neck. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And it's starting to go down. Brand new phone I've had for one day. iPhone 11, I've had it for one day. Off my neck. Dude, and immediately I try to go down and get it. And I'm wearing these shoes, these loafers, which I love, by the way. They're loafers, but they float. They have like this floating thing. So as I go down and I'm trying to kick, I'm like, my feet are staying up. My feet are staying like up in the water. And I just can't get any like force to go down, dude. So I'm just like, ugh, and I come back up. Phone's gone, dude. The amount of embarrassment at this moment, I can't even explain to you guys, dude. I'm in there. There's no looking cool at this point. I'm just like, like we were doing so good. I was catching fish. Jay's like, oh, dude, he's got some faith in me, Oh, we got to do this all the time. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, we do. And then I do that. And then I do that fiasco. Flipping the boat, dude. And he's like, how did that happen? I'm like, dude, I was reaching back. I couldn't even explain it. But that's what happens when you get too comfortable, guys. Don't get too comfortable out in the water, man. I got way too I never thought I would be in the water. I was like, oh, I got this. I know what I'm doing. So that's 2 phones in 3 days. Dude, I was driving home laughing at like a madman. There was nothing else to do about that situation. I was literally going, I thought about what happened and I would just go, there was nothing I could do. But whatever. It was just a crazy learning experience, man. And Jay couldn't be cooler about it, you know. He made me feel like not an asshole. He's like, dude, it's all good, man. It happens to the best of us, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, dude, don't trip. It's all stuff. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude. You know? And I'm trying to act cool, but you can't, you know? Like, of course I'm bothered about it. So whatever. He was being really cool about it. So, you know, he didn't add to the insult to injury. Smoke a little weed after that story. Even telling that story was stressful. That's how people drown, is they panic. You know what I'm saying? You got to stay calm. And you could say that, but it's incredibly hard to do that when you're in that situation. Anyway, lesson learned. You know? We'll see what happens this week. What? What? Did you say something? Dude, the first time I smoked weed, all right, I was with my older cousin. Now in the Iranian culture, we call, you know, close family, friends, cousins. And this was my cousin Ben. He was probably 5 years older than me or something. And I was in 6th grade. So what is that, 12? And then he was probably 16, 17, something like that. You know, he's like 4 or 5 years older than me. And we'd skate all the time together. That's what we'd do. You know, if we would go over to their house, me and Ben would take off and go skating somewhere. And we were at a gas station. I remember, I forget what kind of gas station, but we were at a gas station, like skating this ledge. And my cousin had made this pipe out of Legos, dude, out of Legos, literally like Legos. And then it was looked like a pipe. And then we put a tinfoil screen down, right? Tinfoil, and then poked holes in that screen. But and then there was the bowl was made of by plastic Legos. Do you know how bad that is for you? Dude, we would light it, and not only are you smoking the friggin' aluminum, giving you friggin' Alzheimer's, but then the plastic fumes were also going in my lungs. So imagine that. And we were smoking that, and continued skating, dude. And I remember that was the first time I smoked weed. I was like, oh, damn. And then I thought I wasn't high. I was like, oh, dude, I didn't even get high. And then all of a sudden, dude, I'm like, oh, I'm high. And I was like sitting there, and I was telling my cousin, I'm like, dude, I feel my heart. I feel my heart beating. And I remember like looking down and pushing when I was skating. I was just like looking at my skateboard, just like really looking at it. And I was like, this is cool, dude. I'm getting there. Like, I'm getting there. It's the thought I was having. Like, I'm getting where I'm going. It was weird, man. But that was it. That was my first time smoking weed, bro. 13 at a gas station with a Lego pipe. Isn't that crazy? When was the first time you smoked weed, JR?
Out of an apple, I was 14.
You were 18 and it was your uncle's house.
Out of an apple, bro.
But I mean, I'll still do an apple on the road. You know, you're staying at one of these hotels and you go, you guys got any apples? I go, oh, sure. I go, a snack? I'll just grab an apple off the little fruit bowl that they got, you know, and then make a little apple pipe. But that's easy, biodegradable, and it's not, I don't think, harmful to your lungs, right? Except for the wax on the outside of the apple. Maybe, who knows, right? So that's it. But nowadays, you know, I like this little Sherlock type penis pipe. And you smoke this. Much easier, more convenient. Bongs are a thing of the past. I don't know if you're over 20, don't have a bong. Don't have a bong at your house, you know? Dabs, oof. If you're dabbing, I think you need to switch to harder drugs. You know what I mean? I don't think it's weed you're after. If you're dabbing, it's not weed you're after, dude. You're looking for something harder, and you're just lying to yourself. Get super high. Like, how high do you want to get? You know what I mean? Just eat an edible in that case. Because, dude, 5 milligrams for me, 10 milligrams on an edible is fine, okay? But I've done some dabs that have made me feel like I've eaten an Uncle Joey 100 milligram. I've eaten a 100 milligram edible, and I don't know how to get out of it. And that's a scary place to be. You know, worse than in the middle of an ocean on a kayak flipped over. For real. And more, yeah, I would say, you know, when you don't think you're going to come back, you ever eaten an edible? And I know people that have eaten edibles, it's a very common thing. You eat the thing, and then you're like, oh, this ain't kicking in. And all of a sudden, you're like, boing, and you're so high. I went one time, the first time, actually, I had a bad experience with an edible. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we were at our apartment, and we were house sitting the apartment next to us. So we go over there, and you know, our neighbor texts us and goes, "Hey, I got some edibles in the fridge. If you guys want them, you know, they're all yours." And at that point, I'm like, "Oh, whatever." I don't even know anything about edibles other than the brownies we'd make in high school, you know. And this was just when you could like these were medical things, and these things were called space cakes. A space cake, dude. Should have listened to the name. About why is it called a space cake? Because it sends you to Mars. Little cake like that. I'm like, how bad could this be? Like, how much could that hurt you? It's this big. It's literally that big. So we eat one. There's two of them, and we eat one. Or no, we eat half. Right? We're like, we'll just eat half, see how we feel. Nothing. You know, we go back to our apartment and we're chilling for like 30 minutes. We're like, dude, nothing. So we smoke weed. I go, oh, I have some weed. Let's smoke it. And then now we're high, just smoke high. I'm like, dude, that edible didn't do anything. Let's go eat another half. Let's eat another half. So now we've both eaten one whole one. And we're sitting there and we're like, dude, nothing. And then all of a sudden, my girlfriend and I start laughing so hard. The hardest I've ever laughed. She's crying, laughing. And I'm cracking up too, going, dude, I don't even know what we were talking about, but whatever it was the funniest thing that I've ever heard or seen. And just watching her laugh made me laugh even more. And it went from that to about 10 minutes later, the most horrific high I've ever had in my life. Where I swear she went from laughing and crying from laughing to like crying because she didn't think it was going to ever end. You know, whatever high we were in, that our brains were completely messed up and this is how it's going to be. You know, it was just, and then I started to panic because she was panicking. And then we were like holding each other, dude, I swear, in the bed. And she was like, I don't know. And then I was thinking, if I don't remember to breathe, I'm not going to breathe. That's what my thoughts were. If I don't remember to breathe, then I won't breathe. So I'm just like sitting, and it was so miserable. Dude, if I had a gun next to me, this is how scary. If I had a gun next to me, I would have grabbed it and contemplate killing both of us. Just to end what was happening, dude. It was so bad. And then finally we wrote it out. I don't even know what happened. I don't recall exactly, but I just know we were that moment of just being like, dude, how can we end this? I want to end it all. This is so uncomfortable and bad. Dude, what a freaking horrible night. Anyways, we wrote it out. And then, yeah, from then on, I was just like, dude, edibles are no joke. And who knew, like, how many milligrams they were? You know, they could have been 25, whatever. But I've realized now my level is about 5 milligrams if I want to have a good time, 10 if I want to get a little weird. Other than that, after that, man, just do something else. Do another drug. You know, because then you're just tripping a little bit. For me, I don't know. Some guys do 100 milligrams. I don't even know how that's possible. 100 milligrams. I don't know how that's possible. Right now would be a good time to shout out ABX, Absolute Extracts. Really good edibles, really good oils. Those are the cleanest ones I've found. That's Absolute Extracts or Care by Design. Their oils are really good. That's it for this podcast, I guess, right? Think that was a decent episode. We talked about some scary times. Falling over in a kayak, getting too high. Those are about the same page, right? What's your scariest time, guys? Tell me. Send me an email. Tell me what your scariest time was, and I'll read it online. I'll read it. I'll read it on the next episode. Guys, send me in your scariest moment in your life.
You're going to get some dark ass shit.
Oh, I hope so. The darker, the better. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in.